Winning Agenda's coverage of the Twilight Struggle, International Twilight Struggle League, I should say. I've got a game here against Charles Robinson. Just check that he is happy for me to record. We're playing as USSR, so we'll set up pretty standard. We've got independent reds, so we're definitely not going into Yugoslavia. Pardon me. Pardon me again. So, yes, looks as though pretty standard setup. Vietnam Revolt's probably going to be our start on turn one, and that actually makes CIA a lot better, because one of the problems with CIA, even on turn one as the Soviets, it's obviously a good time to get rid of it. Pardon me. It's obviously a good time to get rid of it, but one of the problems is that they can play one into Malaysia and then go into Thailand if you have no presence in that area. So assuming that we don't get defectors, Vietnam should be a good start for us to be able to move into Thailand straight away. Might need to go and get a glass of water to do with this, actually, in a moment. But, okay, so we've got Marshall plans set up for the US, which means that we are probably going to get a free headline here. Probably reasonably happy to focus on Asia. I mean, we're giving up the domination in Europe. It's a bad 5 VPs to just give up on their AR1. But if we take Thailand, they score Europe, and we coup Iran, I think that's not so bad in the long term, considering they had Marshall plan to set up, and we've got a reasonably ops poor hand. So, yeah, I think let's give that a go. The question is whether we play 4 into Thailand or 3, I think. I kind of don't mind playing 4 into Thailand here, just to really solidify our advantage. Although playing 1 into Lao is nice as well. I think we can do that later in the turn, taking Malaysia and Lao with one of our 2 ops cards. I think that's the better way to do it. Yeah, so now if they want to score Europe, they can do that, but then they don't get the access to the East and Middle East and West of Asia, because we get to coup Iran. Presumably that won't occur, and they will move into Afghanistan. But I think even then, if we can coup Iran with test ban, have a decent coup, then the following AR we can event CIA created, and yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We're in no rush to event CIA as well, because we haven't got any. Okay. Coup in Vietnam's interesting because we get the ops advantage here. So that means they take away our Asia domination, but we certainly have the advantage in terms of what we do in Southeast Asia. I think I'm pretty happy with this result. Also pretty happy with that result in the end. What did our opponents say? Should have headlined that instead. Right. Yeah, it's always a big call not to headline defectors on turn 1, but I think setting up for Europe domination with Marshall Plan is probably one of the main reasons not to. Okay, so they've gone straight into Egypt, which I think will just coup again here, although we'll probably let them have CIA first. Well, we don't want to play into the rest of Eastern Europe because of independent reds. So let us query whether we want to. I think we're okay for them to know that we have captured Nazi scientists. That's the main thing I don't want them to know from our hand. But since if they spend the next AR spacing, that's pretty okay for our tempo. Anyway, mainly I was thinking because of Lao, but if I think Lao's probably the place that they'll put their one influence from CIA, so I am a little bit torn on it actually. I think there's no rush to do it now that I think about it, and we can instead just coup Egypt with independent Reds. I think that's the way to go. We don't want to fail and let them score Middle East, although presumably they would have scored Middle East earlier. Though perhaps not. Okay. We don't want to move into Iran, so the question is whether we spend one of our 2 ops going into Iraq. A little bit torn. I think I'm actually reasonably happy to leave DEFCON a little higher. Just to deny access at this point. Although getting DEFCON to 3 would be good for the Lao issue. Actually, let's trigger this, because if they move into Lao, we can just coup it. And I think that's a better outcome. Because we get the extra op from the CIA over what they would. If we use it for coupping in Lao. We can also try and coup them out of Vietnam with this, although I think if they don't place into Lao, I'm probably more minded to play one there and then one into Malaysia. And just keep taking Southeast Asian countries. It's unlikely here that I'm going to bother coupping Egypt. If they want to spend more ops moving into Libya, I'm more minded to coup that since we have Nasser in the deck. Okay. Well, since they didn't do either, I'm going to put one in Syria. Am I? Or Lebanon? Lebanon gives them a coup. I think I'm just happy to take Syria for presence at this point, because then we don't really have to worry about more Middle East ARs, unless they move into Iraq, in which case we will take Iran, I think. Okay, so they have gone space since they know we have CNS. Good that they failed, because that gives us time. Now we can place here to solidify that position. They're under pressure on VPs from Milops, as well as not wanting to let us, I think, get DEFCON up to 5 so we can coup Italy. So a reasonable turn for us, considering we got rid of CIA. Marshall Plan is not really one to crow about getting rid of, because they got to use it at the best time for it to be used in the game. And decall was spaced, which indicates they probably have destal, so if we get blockade next turn, we're probably more likely to event it. Now, this play in Libya makes me more minded to coup there. Although I do kind of want DEFCON to go back up to 5 in a way. We also want to CNS this turn. I think I'm happy to coup now. And then... Yeah, because depending on what we get, I mean, if we get SocGov, then coup Italy, that's pretty good. And I want to kind of force them to waste an AR coupping if possible. So maybe let's CNS now. And just, if they take Libya, that's okay. They're still moving to domination, but we can take Iraq to defray a VP at least. Okay, this is alright. I think getting rid of them in Israel is okay. It's kind of irrelevant once they're in Jordan. Yeah, I think I prefer that. So they had some pretty powerful headline options. Containment, Defectors, and Marshall Plan, probably the three best headlines for turn one. I wonder, I mean, I guess they're holding D-style rather than holding containment, but... Okay. So they do choose to degrade DEFCON, which means that we'll also degrade DEFCON again now. Did they roll a 6 with that? A 3, okay. My maths is just not on at this time of the morning. So the options are we can coup Libya or we can move into West Germany. Now, I think I prefer coupping Libya to degrade DEFCON and mean that only we get the coup next turn. It does prevent us from taking some of the Europe plays next turn. But it stops us also. It also frees us up. Were we not to coup Libya and instead to play into Europe, I don't think we would have the freedom to make a headline AR1 play in France anyway, because Thailand would then be couable. So I think that was all around the better option. And thankfully we retained 2 in Thailand, which freed us up to do that as well. Okay, so they had De Gaulle too. Interesting. So, I mean, it was obviously a big call for them to want to try and play for Europe domination with both Suez and De Gaulle in hand. That makes things a little harder. I presume we're going to get red scared here now, which is pretty painful. And I think I want to headline Cambridge 5 since we've had no scoring cards yet. And a random influence in Pakistan or somewhere in the Middle East actually wouldn't be too bad. Let alone what are our other options? I don't think AI war is particularly strong here. We have UN intervention for either no route or duck and cover. Or we may decide to space one of them, but I think with UN intervention we'll probably use it to make more aggressive plays. But yeah, I like Cambridge 5 headline here. Okay. Asia or Middle East. Okay. Yeah, I think Pakistan's the way to go. And then probably cooing Panama. Pakistan or South Korea, I'm unsure. I think probably Pakistan and then go that play into South Korea this turn. It's a better way to go.
Of the 20th century
yeah, let's do that.
And of human relations, and not of impersonal natural forces.
So knowing that they have both scoring cards as well, yeah, I think that's better. It gives us more access to more battlegrounds more quickly. Okay. Truman Doctrine, good. So they're going to have to score both these regions, so we'll hopefully, by cooing Egypt, both remove their presence and be able to move to a domination position on AR1. They don't have Europe scoring, which means Europe's not going to get scored twice because we don't have it either. So all is good. We're not going to UN intervention NATO. Not amazing, but not terrible. Because them playing back into Egypt now is pretty bad. So Saudi Arabia and Israel are really the only avenues, I think, for them to pick up battlegrounds at this point. They may just be bold and say, no, we're going into Egypt, but it does seem a little risky. I'm even tempted to, I mean, if they play into Israel, obviously we've got AI war as well, but I assume Saudi Arabia is going to be their play. Possibly putting 1 or 2 in Iraq wouldn't be too bad. I'm not going to be too worried about playing NORAD here, I don't think, depending on how the influence shakes out. As I said earlier, we know that we assume that they're holding D-style, so we're going to event blockade to try and flush that out at some point in the turn. Interesting that they also played 5-year plan. Okay. So they are going back into Egypt. Interesting. So I think now we'll just UN intervention. Take that extra VP. We just want to make sure that we have enough influence points to take things that are adjacent to Pakistan as well this turn. So I actually think maybe it's better to take Iran for that reason. Yeah, let's do that. So that's not too bad now that independent Reds is out of the way. It just means more influence required for them to continue dominating in Europe. And we do have 2 countries that we can take. And we can also threaten the Mediterranean countries still because they're not taken. Although I don't think we're going to waste the ops doing that. Let's just keep taking victory points while they're on offer. Yeah, I think it's better to just take the VPs than to threaten South Korea at this point. Because that's an AR that we're not gaining a VP, whereas taking Iraq actually gains us a VP. Yeah. Great. So now I think we do make the South Korea play. Do we? Maybe we just blockade, see what happens after that, because we just need to get that D-style back. Yeah, let's do that.
Sobre la cuestión acerca de si la lucha armada es el único camino para la liberación, lo que puedo responder es que por lo menos en las condiciones.
Now the question is, do we, pardon me, do we break West Germany? Do we take Austria or Finland? I don't think we bother. I think we just say, okay, you can have those 5 VPs for now. I'm not sure though. Just because it's so easy for our opponent to retake control of Europe, like it's an uphill battle ops-wise for us to try and deny that domination. And we could be making better gains elsewhere in the world, I think. Yeah, let's try and bed down a big Asia scoring. Next time around. And we've also got Southeast Asia to think about as well. Indonesia's a decent VP for ops trade, but I think given that we'd already taken Laos and Malaysia, it's probably less relevant to determining domination, therefore less important. Okay, so I take the 2 VPs. Fair enough. Now I'm not too worried about NORAD on turn 3. I think we probably just go like that at this stage. They may break Thailand, AR6, that would be really annoying. So perhaps we just do that instead, and just they can have the 1 in 3 IP war if they want to kick us out of that region. Perhaps that's okay. Ugh. I don't love giving them that IP war. I mean, they can place one in South Korea, but with Korean war still around at a 50-50, I don't think that's a great spot for no red influence. Oh, but do we want to give them NORAD? Is it really that important? Nah. Since we're trying to solve problems that we're creating by playing it, I think we'll just get rid of it. I mean, they can still break Thailand as they are, but... Nope, NASA. Okay. So pretty lucky for us. We get to 5-year plan Europe scoring. So we'll just make sure we don't kill ourselves with duck and cover. We need to give them an extra AR of containment, which is fine considering we get to 5-year plan Europe scoring. The rest of it, yeah, I think we're basically happy to just red scare them and try and continue spreading. So let's go ahead and do that. No other real headline options. So, I mean, that's an extremely lucky effort for us. So EEU trigger. And then attempt coup on Panama, I think. And then we can spend the rest of our ops filling up these other countries, but the other option, of course, is to think about India and South Korea ops. We've got to remember we cannot, under any circumstances, play the China card this turn. Alright, there goes D-Style. GG, okay. Looks like they might have Asia scoring. In any case, let us play as we were. We'll go 2 in India, I think. I think we'll do that actually. They could have IP war, which would not be bad for them here. And our 2, okay. So now I think we'll just space duck and cover. And now we've got the option to space containment for the win. Or we can try an AI war for the win. Or they have to have a source of VPs before the end of the turn, or we win on Millops. Okay, one into Taiwan, interesting. So AR4, do we want to go the 1 in 3 AI war? I don't think we're really in that much of a rush. Let's just place in South Korea. No, I think India is better actually. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Cambridge 5 be as impactful as it was on the turn 2 headline this time around. The information of knowing about your opponent having the scoring cards plus the ability to parachute yourself into a relevant spot in one of the regions is actually really amazing if you can be pretty sure that they've got at least one of them. Yeah, I mean, I guess the USSR doesn't have too many events that allow it to get into Asia for that turn 1 domination, and being able to both get that and deny our opponent the access to this region was really, I think, what won us the game so quickly. Because had they not, I think cooing Vietnam may have denied them, well, it did deny them the opportunity to go into Afghanistan, which may have made things a little different, but those are just little details at the edges. Yeah, I mean, definitely Europe scoring showing up on turn 2. And oh dear, starting to regret joining the tournament. That's sad. Europe scoring not showing up on turn 2 was a large swing. That's 5 VPs they missed out on, but then us also getting 5-year plan for it the second time around is just another huge swing. Yeah, well, that's sad to hear. You never want people not to enjoy themselves in these games at all. But in any case, where are we? We've got South Korea as probably our next priority, I think. It's going to be difficult for our opponent to make headway. Oh dear. Sounds like they're having a little bit of a bad run of it. It's going to be difficult for our opponent to make headway, I think, in terms of VPs. So that'll presumably be 1 into Korea, I should say, with the purge active. Yeah, that's quite punishing when you're a US player and you've got a lot of 2s, particularly when you've headlined a 4. It's very, very rough. Did they? I didn't actually pay attention as to whether when we blockaded they discarded D-Style. I think they might have.
Our efforts are made in the belief that men and nations
Okay,
can
one into France.
cooperate, and that there are no international
I think we just
problems
probably space
which
containment.
men of goodwill cannot solve or
There we go.
address.
So thanks for watching. I think it was obviously a quick match over on turn 3 in the early war for the Soviets, but it just shows, I think, the power of Vietnam revolts and getting into Southeast Asia early as the Soviets, as well as the importance of controlling Iran early. Just being able to score positively on both Asia and the Middle East can lead to those early VP victories if the right scoring cards show up. And then obviously getting the additional luck of being able to 5-year plan away Europe scoring means that it's really difficult for the US to get into it. Wish our opponent good luck for the rest, and bid you all adieu. A little bit of a shorter game there, but we'll see you around next time for the next game in the International Twilight Struggle League. Thanks a lot for watching. I've been Jesse Marshall.